let's start here.
Boy.
And we saw the game, obviously, on Sunday Night Football. And, we've been beating the drum forever about Saquon Barkley and the year he's having.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the play of the year that we thought, where he did
I don't even know the reverse jump backwards.
Backwards or whatever it was. But then he, ran all over the fraudulent Rams. The Rams, everybody was like, oh, you never know. They got their players back. They'll make a Super Bowl run. And then they lost to Miami at home.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the lowly Patriots on the road, and then they got waxed last night. Okay, by the Eagles, who are surging, okay? And Saquon, what was it, 252 yards?
55 yards.
255, over 300 yards, total yards.
Yep.
He put on a performance, and, of course, everybody and their uncle is now saying he's in the MVP race. Vegas has said, he's the odds-on favorite, right, Ryan? Vegas has said he's the odds-on favorite.
Okay.
I think, money-wise. Where are you on the Saquon Barkley and the MVP race?
All right, so a couple things. Number one, he's absolutely in it, and this thing is fluid, right? Because we're in the thick of things where guys are starting to make spectacular plays, have spectacular games. In the beginning, remember, we came on here for the first 3-4 weeks kind of like nobody's quarterbacks aren't quarterbacking right now. Remember, Patrick Mahomes was putting up pedestrian numbers, and all these other guys you kind of would come to expect having great. Jalen Hurts was not looking great early on, and so you were just kind of like, this doesn't look great. Justin Herbert wasn't putting up crazy numbers, so on and so forth. But now we're starting to get guys who are actually having, 4, 5, 6 games in a row of doing greatness. So he's right there in the thick of things with Lamar Jackson, with Josh Allen, with Derrick Henry. Those are kind of your core guys right about now. Jared Goff skating on maybe the 5th, 6th spot, just hanging on because of the team success more so than his individual. So before I get to that portion, I also want to show some love, Rob, because something you and I have been doing on this show is showing love to all these backs who folks said were trash and got rid of.
Well,
you know who the top 3 backs are? All of them had to go get new apartments and new condos and new mansions. I'm talking about the league leaders right now, 1,392 yards. You know who that is? Saquon Barkley. What is he? Oh, an MVP candidate. Got a new home in Philly. Derrick Henry leading. After tonight, who maybe he will be leading. You never know. But right now, 1,185 yards. Guess where he was? Last year, he had a different home. Josh Jacobs, 944 yards. You know where he was last year? He was out with the Raiders. Now he's a new home in Green Bay. So I thought running backs were trash. They're over. Get rid of them. Running backs are having a great last few years, especially this year. Resurgence. I love to see it. Joe Mixon in the mix too as well for the Texans. So I love to see that. But with that being said, the MVP and still current reigning MVP for me, by a hair on my chin, is Lamar Jackson.
And I'm with you. I think last night, tremendous performance. You don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. And here's the problem. We talked about it earlier this year. Derrick Henry started out a house on fire.
Yeah.
It just takes one bad game, even. Right? Or just a subpar game or whatever, and you could quickly fall out of it. We talked about McCaffrey had an unbelievable year, right? A couple years ago, he didn't get any votes for the MVP. How about in 2020, Derrick Henry was the offensive player of the year, rushed for 2,027 yards, 17 touchdowns. And despite winning that honor, right, and rushing for 2,000 yards, he got 0 MVP votes. 0.
Crazy.
The last running back, Adrian Peterson, in 2012. We know that this has turned into a quarterback award. But here's the other thing. Lamar's numbers, he won last year without spectacular numbers because it was about his impact. This year, it's 25 touchdowns, 3 picks. Ridiculous, okay?
Yep.
There were 2 games this year where Joe Burrow had 9 touchdowns and lost both games. Why did he lose both games?
Because Lamar out-touchdowned him. Out-spectaculared him.
Am I right?
Outplayed him. And this is why, for me, it's still Lamar Jackson's to lose, because Saquon can have another nice game, not even a bad game. Let's say he gets 80 yards rushing and he gets 30 yards receiving, 110 total scrimmage. That's nice. Lamar could go out here tonight, get 270 on the ground, through the air, 2 touchdowns, rush for 85, 100. And not only that, he'll have 2 or 3 plays where you'll be like, man, like that was nobody else can do that. Where he's running the sideline and somehow he gets to the 1 yard line and you're like, how the heck did he pull that off? So to me, it's just he has the advantage that the ball's in his hand every single play, and he can either rush it, pass it, or make some crazy play, and it has the advantage over, to me, Saquon. And Saquon's right there. If he keeps at this rate, they might. And I've been telling you all season.
That's the hard part, is for him to keep at this rate. I'm just saying, and here's the other part. Tonight, the Chargers have played a lot of bad teams. They've only allowed 14.5 points per game.
Defense has been very good, yeah.
If Lamar lights them up tonight, don't tell me, okay?
No, that's a great point.
Okay, they're giving up 14.5, and the Ravens have 27 points at the half. You see what I'm saying?
Like, that's what they'll look at and runs for 100, yeah.
That's what they'll look at and go, like, wait a minute. What? They had one of the best defenses, or 14.5 points, but you look at it. That's why I always say you have to look at the competition. Are the Chargers really that good, or have they just played teams that are inept?
Here's the one thing I'll have, and I've been saying this, and you don't feel me on this, but if Saquon, let's say he's relatively on this track, like obviously he's expected to get 255 yards every game, 300 total.
That's a career high. That doesn't happen. Right.
But let's say he just continues on an average of $125, $130 total yards, total scrimmage yards a game, and ends up with 2,400 yards total, 25, and 18, 19 touchdowns. I still believe if Lamar is pretty Lamar's, but maybe not absurdly Lamar, fatigue kicks in. And if Lamar loses one more game, where people will say, okay, 1 or 2 more games, and he ends up at 10-7, 11-6, and the Eagles end up at 14-3, they're gonna give it to Barkley.
See, I don't agree with the fatigue thing, because Brett Favre won 3 in a row.
Different era.
He won 3 in a row. The writers have not changed.
No, they have. But hear me out.
They're 40-year-old writers.
But Brett Favre was he was like heralded as like, wow, look at that Iron Man, what a man. Like, people revered him in a different light.
I've seen this. Even Aaron Rodgers won 4.
Peyton Manning got a bunch.
Peyton Manning won 5. I mean, it's not like people won 2 and then that was the cap. Peyton Manning won 5.
But here's my thing.
That's a lot.
I'm only saying,
say that?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm only saying if Saquon stays at this historic rate that he's at.
But that's a rate that I do not think is sustainable.
Lamar, it is Lamar's to lose. I've been saying it the whole season. You've been saying it as well. It's Lamar's to lose, and it's going to be hard for him to lose because it's hard for him not to have a good game.
Right. All right, here we go.
That team, he can't keep losing. Not him, but that team, that defense can't keep losing.
They got to win, of course.
Because people will say, his team was they lost 6, 7, 8 games.
If they run the table here, right, and beat the Chargers, which is a big game, Monday night, they only even have 14.5 points, and he beats them. I'm telling you, and they can run the table or wind up winning 12 games. Even if they
only lose one
more down the stretch, it's going to be hard not to give it to them. All right, 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Real simple. Is Saquon Barkley the MVP of the NFL right here, right now? All right, let's go. Randy in New Orleans. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Randy?
Good evening. How you doing?
Doing
great.
What's
up, Randy?
Man, happy Thanksgiving to y'all.
Same to you, man.
Yep.
Let me just say this, Mr. Parker. I'm kind of disappointed because Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Very Good, not the Hall of Fame.
Tell him.
No, he does
Tell
not.
him, Randy.
What are you talking about?
Tell him, Randy.
2 finals MVPs.
I couldn't get through the line the other day.
I needed you, Randy.
Go ahead.
No, I said I needed you, man. I'm trying to talk some sense into this man.
Unbelievable.
All right.
But let me just say this. We'll talk more about that when you come to New Orleans. But let me just say this. In a passing league, to me, if Saquon can get over 2,000 yards rushing in the passing league now, fellas, and Philly can keep winning, I think it's time for a running back to get the award. Right?
Well, I already gave you that in 2020, Derrick Henry had over 2,000 yards, and he got no MVP votes.
McCaffrey was last year?
Yeah.
All those
McCaffrey
touchdowns
got
and yards.
none. 0. Right. Randy, it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
It's time.
I get his point. I'm with him. I mean, there's been plenty of running backs the last decade who deserve it. I'm with you on that, Randy. Mr. Randy Watson.
Justin in Tucson, Arizona. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Justin?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my phone call. And
yes.
I'm going to dovetail a little bit off of that, the last caller there, right? First off, let me say I do think it's Lamar's MVP to lose at this point. You go back to 2012 when the last non-quarterback, I guess, was the MVP. That was, I think, if my memory recalls, that was also the year that Calvin Johnson almost got 2,000 yards, and that's clearly a position, obviously, where you don't get the ball every day in your hands.
Yep.
So here's the question. Here's the question that I want to ask you guys. You mentioned earlier, hey, all it takes for Saquon to be out of the running is to have one bad game. Well, that bad game may be him being used in the scheme differently, more of a blocker, maybe some other type of use, right? So where do we go with the quarterback, like, say, Lamar or Mahomes or Allen? If they have one bad game, it seems like it's easier for the quarterback in the media's eyes and just public perception to be able to bounce back and still remain in the MVP hunt. So why do other players not get that?
I agree with that. I think part of it is because the quarterback is so important to the team. We all admit, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning, right? We've seen Gardner Minshew and all these other guys. Thank you. All these other guys. If that's your quarterback, are you winning?
No, you're
not winning. So
you already know.
You already know.
You're already talking about next season.
You could talk about teams without running backs and can they win? Yeah, they could win with a committee or different people. And that's the same thing with wide receivers and why the quarterback position, because we all know it's so very important. Let's go to
plus a bad game for running backs can be a much steeper drop off.
Right.
It can be literally 35 yards.
But Derrick Henry everybody was saying, he might beat Lamar out, and now nobody's talking about Derrick Henry.
Because a bad game for Lamar would be like a $180, $150. So it's just a different. I get his call, and he's right. It's not apples to apples, and it's not fair. But that's just the way it is. Who we got?
Chili Tim in Atlanta. You're on The Odd Couple. Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Tim?
Hey, what's up, Rob? What up, Calvin?
What up?
I think we're going to have to get the right Reverend Chris Broussard back on this Magic City Monday, man. What y'all doing over there with, that song?
Yeah, I know. Listen, man. Hey, Alex, that was Alex was trying to get some singles or something.
I'm trying to take Tim to Magic City for the Wings.
Where's Tim at again?
Tim's in Atlanta.
Oh, he's been there.
All right,
before.
no. He's a man of the cloth.
Oh, my man. Never mind. I ain't gonna disrespect you. Look.
No. Oh, yeah. But I want to take him there for the Wings. Tim doesn't even want to go in for the Wings. Tim, close your eyes.
I don't eat nasty wings, Rob. I don't eat nasty wings.
Oh,
but,
they do say the wings. They do say the wings are fire.
They are.
I think both of you guys are wrong. I think Josh Allen, and here's why I say Josh Allen, as reluctant as I am, Rob. I'm not a big Josh Allen fan. I say he'll never win a Super Bowl, but I think he'll win the MVP. Here's why. Because, he has one basically game that he could lose possibly on left in the season, and that's Detroit. And if he goes out and beat Detroit and say he ends up at 15-2 with what he lost compared to what Lamar Jackson gained, I think they'll give it to Josh Allen.
Well, we got to see he had a really bad game. Was it against the Texans? He had a terrible game against the Texans, and he got rolled by Baltimore.
Yeah,
right?
He got rolled by them. He played all right, but he's in the mix. Listen, Josh Allen's absolutely in the mix.
But he's had a couple of two really bad games, didn't he?
Nah, and also the thing for Josh Allen, he's right there. The good thing for him is his schedule. He has 18 touchdowns, 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. So QBR of 98. So he's right there. And then
Lamar has 25 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yeah, right. And then he has a better record, so people will add that to it. And if you add in his rushing as well, because obviously that's
Lamar
a big part
of it.
I know. Listen, I said it's Lamar's to lose, but Josh Allen is in the mix for sure. He should feel confident, feel happy that he's in the mix. We'll see how far he continues to go.